Hi, welcome to the Detailers Guild. This is our very first podcast, and I have Dell with me today, and I'm Dean. So anyways, we're going to be chatting about anything and everything automotive, and I hope you guys get a kick out of this. So anyways, introduce yourself, because everybody kind of knows me from detailing.
Well, they know you from detailing. I'm Dell. Some people know me as DJ Dell. I like cars, but I don't know a whole lot about them, but then that's why I'm here. I like to learn new things, so I'm going to learn a lot, just like you people listening and watching. However you're getting this, you'll be able to learn a thing or two as well. Just to give a little brief history about myself, I've been doing radio now for well over 20 years, about 23 years now, and I do a local radio show here, and been having a lot of fun with it. Now I've gone from doing interviews and music. Now my show basically just concentrates just on music now, although we kind of want to get back into the interviewing again, but we'll see how that goes.
And for most of you guys that know me, I've been detailing for 30 years. I work at a body shop full-time, and I also run my own shop, and I've done mobile detailing, and I've had 2 different shops. So I've been around the block a few times, so I pretty much know a lot of different things. I am nowhere near an expert. I just happen to have a lot of knowledge because I've worked at a bunch of different places, and I've worked with a lot of really good people. Anyways, what questions do you have for me today?
What's a car? What's detailing? Let's just pretend that this is the first time that you've ever watched a program like this and you know absolutely nothing about detailing. If I was a person who was going to come on and just say I walked into your shop or whatever, I had absolutely no idea about detailing at all, and I just say, you know what, maybe I heard about it through internet nowadays. I'd say classifieds, but nobody reads that anymore. But I just say, hey, I want to get my car detailed. What exactly does that mean?
It's funny that you mentioned that. When I first got started, I wanted to put a car wash sign, to put car wash, and when I told the sign guy that, he said, well, you should actually put detailing. And I asked him the same thing. I said, well, what is that? He says, oh, it's a fancy name for a car wash. Now today, that's not true. That was 30 years ago, but today, detailing is very, very intense. There's a lot of different things going on. There's paint correction. We use ozone machines to get rid of smells out of cars. We use steamers. We use tornado guns, which are like a chemical gun. And there's a lot of different ways now to clean a car and do a really good job of it. A lot better than we could 30 years ago. Because 30 years ago, all we had was we did have power washers and we had extractors. But the problem was you're limited because you can't get everywhere in the car with an extractor. It just doesn't fit. So a lot of times you had to use hand tools to get in the crevices and the cracks. It took a long, long time. And back in the day, to make money as a detailer, it wasn't easy, But today, you come up with a routine, and we have so many different tools in our arsenal to clean the car that you can actually make it profitable.
So now, what would you say? Now, if I'm somebody now, I can go down to just say like one of the coin car washes or whatever, and I can go in there with a vacuum and vacuum out my car. Now, what would be the difference between, say, me doing that and someone who is a detailer like yourself?
Okay.
Like, what would you say? What would be the difference between?
Well, the vacuum is a one-way action. You're sucking the dirt out where it can get it, but you're not loosening it up, other than agitating it with the nozzle. Now, if you go and you take a tornado gun, the tornado gun actually has a spinning tip in it. So what it does is, under high pressure, it blows out a chemical, and as it's spinning, it's loosening up the carpet. And the chemical that you're adding to the carpet will release a lot of the grease and oil and dirt that's impacted in the carpet. And you can't do that with just a vacuum cleaner, especially if it's like hardened mud. Or let's say you have a piece of gum in there. Now the vacuum, you play with it all day long, you're not going to get the gum out of there. What a lot of us use is like WD-40, or we'll use some kind of penetrating fluid, because it actually breaks down the sugar in the gum,
Okay.
and then it comes apart, and then it's easy to get it right out of the carpet. But yeah, there's different things. The other thing too is when you vacuum, you're not agitating any of the surface. If you have leather seats, it's very hard to clean in the crevices of the leather seat. Okay, and to do it with a vacuum, it's not really a good idea, because the tip, like from dragging the plastic tip on the carpet, it actually makes it very sharp. So you can actually cut the seats. If you're using leather seats, you can actually make marks in the seat, or just scrape it.
Okay.
The best way to do it, I find anyways, is to use a tornado gun. Now, we put enzyme in our gun usually, or citrus cleaner, depending on what we're working on. If we're working on fabric and it's a commercial vehicle and the seats are just blasted with grease and oil and really, really nasty, then we just go right for the citrus cleaner, because it's a lot more aggressive, and the customer just wants the seat clean. It's not, they don't care. It's not a high-end vehicle. I would never do this with a Porsche. Like if we're working on a Porsche or something with very fine interior in it, then we use the enzyme, because the enzyme is super gentle, and it's a very easy cleaner. It's easy on the material that we're working on.
So let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know using a tornado
Yeah.
that this will. Now, how does it work on Corinthian leather?
Actually, it works good on leather, but you're best off to do it manually with the brush. Like if you have deep embedded grease in there and you're trying to release it, there is a special leather brush for that, and it's very soft bristle. And what I usually do is I have different chemicals that are very gentle with leather. Usually I use a foaming leather cleaner, because it's very, very gentle. Okay.
See, I think Ricardo Montalban would think that, I love those old commercials with the Corinthian leather. It's funny because I looked that up and I was like, Corinthian leather is not this. It wasn't a real thing. It was just regular leather, but
Yeah.
so many people remember that commercial
Oh yeah.
from back in the day.
Well, like I've worked on Ferraris and Porsches. The difference is between working on something that's really, really expensive as opposed to working on a domestic vehicle. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, but it's a different material.
Yeah.
And if the car is very old, like most of the stuff I work on is vintage. It's usually 20 years old or older. So when I'm working on, say I'm working on somebody's, say Ferrari, and it's 25 years old. If I go and I get in the car and I damage a seat, it's going to cost a fortune to fix the seats. If it's a newer car, like 5 or 10 years old, there's a lot more give to the leather and the interior. It's a lot easier. It's more forgiving when you're working on it. If you're working on somebody's baby and this thing is super expensive, you got to be very careful with it. So usually when I'm cleaning a Porsche or a Ferrari or any kind of high-end car like that, what I usually do is I clean the whole vehicle from the outside of the car, which sounds strange, but you lean down at the side of the seat and you reach in and you clean it and use all the different tools to blow it out the best you can. But you just have to be gentle with it, that's all. It takes a lot longer, and when I'm done, I use very expensive conditioners inside the vehicle, stuff that's made for that vehicle. My go-to products for Porsche is ammo. The reason is because Larry Casilla, the guy that actually makes the products, well, he doesn't physically make it, but he has it made to his standard, and he works with the chemists and tests it and gets it to the point where he's pleased with it. He uses them on his Porsche, and that's his baby. So the fact that this guy made these products just for his own vehicle, whenever I have a customer come in here with a Porsche, as soon as I mention ammo to them, they know right away the product, and that's what they want. And I feel very safe using it. Before I got into ammo and chemical guys and Angel Wax, before I got into the higher end products, I used to use Mother's, and the reason I used to use it all the time was because pretty much anybody could use it. You pick it up off the shelf, and it's very user friendly. Like it's very hard to screw up a car using Mother's products because they're made for do-it-yourselfers. So for 25 years, that's all I used. I didn't use anything else. I used all Mother stuff, and like for scrubbing seats and different things, I had my go-to chemicals, and my number one go-to chemical is Zep Citrus Cleaner. Okay. Now I use Auto Enzyme, but before that I used to use the Citrus Cleaner because I could cut it to different strengths, and I found that it worked great for everything. Like I could use a lighter mix for doing the interior, and then I could cut it 1 to 4 for doing tires and doing engine shampoos and whatever I needed to do where I needed something more aggressive. But yeah, I found that I could clean a car a lot cheaper once I learned, how all the chemicals react with everything. Because then you know what to go to right away. You don't spend a lot of time trying to clean something. If you're cleaning it with the wrong chemical, you're just taking longer usually.
Yeah.
Or the worst case scenario, you're going to damage something. So you don't want to bleach a seat. I've seen a few vehicles where people didn't know any better, and it's usually do-it-yourselfers. I'm not picking on any, but they'll grab a chemical, they'll spray it on the seat. You don't realize that if it's running down the seat, it's actually going to stain it because it's such a strong cleaner. So usually what I do is I spray it on a rag, or I spray it on a sponge or a butt pad or something that's going to hold the chemical, and then I can agitate it lightly, but I make sure to go right behind and wipe it off right away with water, to clean it off. I don't leave it sitting there, because if you leave it sitting there, it can actually take the color out of the seat. Because all other seats and vinyl seats, they're sprayed with paint.
Yeah.
So you're actually cleaning the paint or the dye that's on top of the seat. You're not actually cleaning the leather itself because it's protected. You don't actually get to the leather part.
Now, what would you say to someone who is going to do it themselves if they just had like soap and water? Could you use that, or would that be?
You can actually, soap and water, okay, it'll clean an interior really well. You just have to watch how you're cutting it. It's a powerful degreaser. I mean, my first crack at cleaning a car was my dad's '73 Chevy Impala, and I don't want to throw my dad under the bus here, but my dad used to smoke years ago, and the steering wheel was so sticky on that thing. It was just nasty. And one of my friends out there, Carlos Serrano, came out with this little concoction that he makes, and actually one of the ingredients in his Serrano sauce, that he calls it, is dish soap, because it's a very powerful cleaner, like for interior. On the outside, I would never wash a car with dish soap. The reason is, unless I'm going to put something on it, it's so strong, it'll strip everything off the car. It'll strip wax, sealant, anything you put on your car, it'll strip it right off. We actually did a fleet of vehicles for a company, and I'm not going to say who it was, but we did a whole fleet of vehicles.
We'll call it Company X.
Yeah, so we did vehicles for Company X, and a month goes by, and we're right at the end of finishing off this fleet, and I see the guys in the yard washing the cars with sunlight, dish soap. So all the tar removal and everything that we did, okay, and then we put wax on. And the reason we put the wax on was to prevent the stuff from sticking back on there permanently, like to make it easier to wash it off. Now, there's nothing you can put on there that's going to stop tar from sticking on there or brake dust. You can't prevent it 100%, but it does make it a little bit easier to take it off. But when these guys wash it with the dish soap, the stuff bonded right on the paint because there's nothing there protecting it anymore. There's no slippery surface. It just stuck right on the side of the vehicle. So, it it wasn't cheap. I mean, it cost like, that was a $5,000 job, and it was destroyed with $10 worth of sunlight.
Well, I was gonna say that I think that using dish soap, it is a powerful cleaner. Like, it's funny because you see like the Dove commercials and that,
Yeah.
and they'll show them where there'll be like an oil spill or whatever, and they're like cleaning the ducts that are like soaked in like oil. They're cleaning them with the Dove soap. Well, I found out like where I work, I do a lot of the cleaning in that. And we have like a chemical degreaser that we can use, like, you know, like for if you had grease on, you know, on your tools or whatever else, you can take it off. Well, the one time I'm like, you know, this stuff, it works really well, but it's a powerful chemical. So you gotta wear gloves, definitely. And if you're spraying it, you don't want to breathe that stuff in.
Yeah.
So I had dish soap and water. I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just gonna give this just a run, because I had to wash down a wall. And there was an oil buildup on the wall, and that's, so I'm like, okay. And normally when I would spray with the degreaser, you just see like the oil just kind of run down.
Oh yeah.
I did it with the soap, and it was palm olive.
Yeah.
No cheap plug there.
Yeah.
But I sprayed it, and it was doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you know what? And now I just use that because it's like, you know what? I'm not breathing in the chemical or anything else like that, and it's a lot easier on me.
Yeah, you've got Dove, you've got palm olive, and Dawn.
Yeah.
I mean, they are good at cleaning grease, but that's the thing. Like, when you have a carnauba wax, or you have like, and I learned this, and I'll give credit where credit's due. The reason I know how wax is made is from the Forensic Detailing channel. All right, and my friend John, that's his channel, and I followed him, and I learned a lot from him. Okay, he's from the UK. He's a lot of laughs, but I followed him and I watched, and he said most of the waxes that are out there are made of beeswax, paraffin wax, and carnauba wax, and there's solvents added to that. Okay, now all the solvent does is it liquefies the mixture so that you can turn it into a liquid and actually put it on the car, you know, harden. The recipe depends on what you're looking for. Like, the carnauba gives you the glow and the shine, and, you know, the deep gloss. The paraffin gives you more of the longevity, and the beeswax is there to stabilize it too. But like, it depends on the mixture of more or less of what you do with each type of wax, what you're going to end up with at the end. And these guys use it to the nth degree. Now, there's companies out there that went one step further, and they added their own little secret ingredient to it, and the results are just unbelievable. I know chemical guys, and you know, a lot of people, you know, they pick on them because they have so many different brands of wax that are very similar. Okay, but the one cool thing I found about them was they're black wax that is made specially for dark cars. It gives this crazy chrome look to the paint. Like, when you put it on, it actually looks like black chrome. It's a real cool effect, and I've never seen that with another product. Like, I've seen really deep shine, I've seen, you know, but it's weird. It's almost like it's a mirror. Like, when I first waxed my buddy's Ram pickup truck, his truck, it's solid black. There's no metallic in it. But when I waxed that truck, it actually looked like a mirror after. He's like, "What did you do to my truck?" He said, "You know, it looks awesome." Like, and I explained to him what I did. Another product they have is lava. Now, lava is a wax, and like I said, the guts of it are made of those three different components, right? And then you add solvent to it. Now, they put some kind of chemical in there, like a pearlized.
I was going to say, is this a secret as well?
It's a secret. I don't know exactly what it is they put, but it has like a pearl glow to it.
Nice.
And when I saw this stuff, it's just it's just amazing. Actually, I've got some.
Oh, look here. Here we go.
This is the Chemical Guy Black. Now, I'm not trying to plug chemical guys. Okay.
So no cheap plugs here?
No.
Okay.
No, and we're not sponsored by them at all. Now, this actually works, I would say, like a shoe polish. Okay, relatively thick. Okay, we put this on, and it does hide a lot of minor scratches. Now, if this thing is right down to the primer, and you know, it's not going to hide that. But this is for washing. Like when you wash and you leave little tiny marks in it, it helps to hide that.
So let me get this straight. So what you're telling me is, if you have a jealous ex or whatever that goes and decides to key up your car, that might not hide the scratch.
No, you would need to use a polisher. Another wax that I have is the lava mount. Now, if you look in here, you can see it's got kind of a glow to it. Right? Now, that glow, that's what I'm talking about. That's that pearlized effect. Now, what happens is when I go and I put that on somebody's car, it actually, when the sunlight hits it, it actually makes the color look different. I did a bright blue Challenger, and when I did her Challenger, it actually looked like a lighter blue. And another girl at her work commented on it, and she said, "What color is that?" And she said, "It's the stock color that came on the car." She says, "Well, it can't be, but it looks different than mine." So she explained to her what I did, and she was really impressed with it. But yeah, it does leave a nice glow on it. I actually used that product on a Porsche I had in here about a week ago, and it turned out really nice. But yeah, there's so many different products, and the other one too is Angel Wax. Now I don't have the one that they have the special ingredient in. I have, well, that's not entirely true. I have Angel Wax Enigma, which is another wax that they made. Now, Angel Wax Enigma, the neat thing about that is you can actually put that right on a ceramic coating once it's cured. It takes 6 weeks to cure.
I feel another product on its way.
So this is the Angel Wax Enigma. Okay. Now this wax here,
Come on, Hercules.
yeah, this stuff here, it's $350 for a jar of this.
That's an expensive jar.
Yeah, so that does multiple cars.
Yeah.
Okay, now here you can smell it. It smells like birthday cake. Right?
Well, I wouldn't eat that though.
No, but no, it's kind of cool because, like, I thought these guys go the extra mile because they want you to enjoy the whole experience of doing the car. Like, it's funny, even the smell. Like, I mean, they make sure it smells pleasant, so when you're using it, you know, it smells good.
I feel a segue coming here because now you mentioned the smell.
Yeah.
It leads me into another question here.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about the exteriors right now, but when we're talking the interior of the car, now let's just say, now you had mentioned before when you were telling the story that your dad in the car there, and the smoke. Now, if you're somebody who smokes a couple packs a day, you're a carton a day smoker.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of smoke going in that car,
Yeah.
and you got the tar stains, nicotine stains, whatever.
Yeah.
What would you say if someone came to you and said, "Look, you know what? I just bought this car for $50 because it was just bad smell of smoke in here. What can I do to get rid of the smoke?" Used car.
Okay. I have a lot of customers get mad at me because I'm brutally honest. I cannot get 100% of that smell. There's no way. Not at the level I clean it at. Now I clean it pretty intensely, but the thing is, I'm not taking the door panels off. I'm not taking the dash apart. I'm not taking apart the ventilation system. That smoke gets everywhere. And unfortunately, the reason I don't do that extensive is because when you pull a door panel, there's tabs in there. There's all different kinds of things that could break.
Yeah.
Okay, and you got to wash all inside the door skin and everything else, because when the person sits in the car, the concentration of smoke is in the driver's section. Okay, so it's going to go right through the door into the actual panel itself, and it's going to stink.
Yeah.
So it gets in there through the speaker and through everything that's open to it. It gets in there. It gets all up in the ventilation system. It gets all up in the headliner. Okay, it gets right into the foam of the seats. It gets everywhere. What I do to get, and I would say 95% of that smell out, so it's calmed right down and you can barely smell it. What I do is first off, I surface clean it. I go through and I hit it with the enzyme gun and I clean everything I possibly can out. Okay? If I can reach it, I will get rid of it. And it's disgusting. When you go and you wipe the nicotine out and you bring out the rag,
You're gonna have brown.
you're gonna see, oh yeah, it just runs, it looks like tar, it just runs out. So you get all that out, and then I hit it with the steamer and the enzyme right into the ventilation system as far as I can go. Now, like realistically, yeah, the steam, it goes in the one vent, it'll come out the other vent. Does it clean the entire thing? Of course not. It can't, because after a certain distance, it's cooled off and it's not really doing what it needs to do. But I get in there and I try and get the vents as clean as I can, because there's tar all over the vents. So it gets in, I'd say about 2 to 3 inches, you're actually getting something happen. There's actually something clean. Now, the reason I hit it with the enzyme is, the enzyme is actually a live bacteria. And as it breaks stuff down, it releases a nice clean scent. Okay? So I spray that in there to try and kill it a little bit more. One of the most important things is when you're doing a smoker's car, the newer models, you need to change the cabin filter. There's a filter inside. When the fan turns on, it draws the air through the car, but it goes through this paper filter. If you don't change that, it's going to stink no matter what. And a lot of times you pull that filter, you may see other things in there. Hornet's nest, mouse nest, especially if the car's been sitting for a long time. So it's important that you pull that, check it, and see if there's any indication that there's something else going on in that car.
So for just a regular person looking through there, where would they find that?
The cabin filter?
Yeah.
Okay, it's usually right behind the glove box. Unless there's a car out there that I haven't run into. All the ones that I've seen, you flip down the glove box, there's some latches. Each one's different. Some have a couple of torque screws you have to remove, and you drop it down. If you look inside, and I usually grab like my headlamps here. So I'll use those, and I get in there and I look, and you can see that the flap covering it, okay, and it's usually you just flip it forward and unlatch it, and then the filter's right in there behind. Now to get the filter out, what I do is I take a small pick, okay, it's just like a little hook, and I get that in there, I just turn it gently and I pull the paper out. Because to get your hands in there, it's kind of tough, because it's a tight spot on a lot of vehicles, especially I found on the Denali pickup trucks. It's kind of tough, and you cut your fingers up pretty good sometimes. Even though it's all plastic in there, there's some sharp stuff in there. Okay, because they don't expect people to be putting their hands in there except for mechanics, right? And unfortunately, they don't think about the mechanics a lot of these times when they're building the cars. So you're trying to get in there and get this filter out. So yeah, the best way to do that is with a pick. So you get in there with the pick, give it a little tug, and it should come right out.
Now, is this a piece that you just rinse out or blow out, or is it something that has to be replaced?
You gotta throw it out. I might even have one kicking around. If I do, it's probably over in the corner over there.
Have our assistant.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's a paper filter. It's similar to the same material that they use in the air filter.
Okay.
It's almost identical. It might be down near the hose there. There might be one sitting there. Is there one there? No? Okay. I may have thrown it out.
So we'll just imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks like a kind of, the best way to describe it, it looks like an accordion.
Okay.
Okay, because the filter goes back and forth, back and forth. The paper's like kind of folded back and forth. Okay. And it catches a lot of stuff. Does it catch everything? Of course not. I mean, it's paper. It's not, it's not a black light. It's not, it's not using reverse osmosis. It's not doing anything crazy. It's not, using ozone or anything like that. That's another machine I was going to get to. So once you've changed that filter, okay, what I do is if I'm going to run what's called an ozone machine, then I leave the filter out. Okay, I leave the new filter off to the side.
All right.
I take the new filter before I reinstall it, and I lightly spray it on the intake side with a light air freshener.
Okay, so what is
Yeah.
get that smell?
Yeah, so it gives you a nice clean smell inside, and it calms down the nicotine smell if it's in the vents. Now, when I run the ozone machine, now what the ozone machine is, the easiest way to describe it, it's a lightning box. Okay, that's the easiest way. It's like tiny little bolts of lightning inside a box. Okay. So when you have lightning, what's produced is a chemical called O3. It's an element. Instead of O2, which is oxygen, it's O3, and it's very unstable. Now, this is actually the machine right here. Okay. I can actually show you how
Looks
it works.
like an ant.
Yeah, it looks like an ant. Okay. So now,
Should we clear out here?
no, I gotta just move over a little bit just so I can show you. Now, if I just turn this on, okay, right now it's just blowing air, okay? Now, there's your fan settings, okay, so you can turn your fans up. Alright, now over here is, one is the black light, okay, which kills bacteria. And as it's drawing everything through here, it actually does clean the air. Now the other one, okay, this one that says sterilize,
Yeah.
that's actually, you can smell that little bit, that weird nitrogen smell. That's actually ozone. So you don't want to breathe that too much. So,
Oh, thank God, now you're talking.
no, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we're in a well ventilated area.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had this running inside the car, okay, what this would actually do is it would, number one, it would disperse all the oxygen in the car.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's filling it up with O3. The other thing that it does is, because it's an unstable molecule, the minute it hits something else, okay, another molecule that's floating around in the air, it'll break apart the other molecule into its subparts.
Yeah.
So it's no longer what it was. Like, it works great with urine, smoke, any kind of nasty smell. It's usually a combination of a few different things, like sulfur smells and stuff like that. So this will break it right down. It's actually a really handy machine. Now, this can get in where the smoke gets in. Okay, so it'll get into the ventilation system and it'll be clean. Now, where the other 5% is that I say, look, I can't clean 100%. The reason is even though this gets in everywhere that the smoke does, there's one problem. This is a one-time treatment, so we treat the car, okay?
Yep.
I kill the smell, I kill everything in the air, but the nicotine is still on the panel inside the door.
Yeah.
So when you go and you've got a nice fall day or spring day, and you've got condensation on the car, condensation on the inside of the panel, it wets the nicotine again, reactivates the smell.
So
And
it's
then
right back to square
you're-
one.
Yeah, to a point,
Yeah.
because we've cleaned all the inside of the car, we've cleaned the cabin filter, and we're not smoking in the car anymore. So we've cleaned a lot of it. So the only thing you can do to get 100% of that smell out is either take all the cushioning out of it. So you would have to take all the padding out of the seat, take out the headliner, replace all that. You would have to take all the ventilation system apart and clean it thoroughly, reinstall everything. And you're not going to do that because it's going to cost you hundreds of dollars to tear all
That
that
just
apart.
sounds like a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
We've actually, working at the dealership is kind of cool because we actually had a customer come in with a vehicle that had a musty smell, okay? So I took her at her word, and the lady was right. There was something in there. We took a black light, we shone it down all the ventilation system, and we could see there was something alive in there. There was some kind of a bacteria or a mildew or a mold that was in there. There was something in there. So this lady wasn't imagining it. There's something there. So we could actually see it. So because we could see it, and we knew it was some foreign thing that was not supposed to be there, whatever it was, GM actually backed us up and said, yep, tear it apart. So the mechanic took everything apart for me. I took all the parts and I steam cleaned them and I chemical cleaned them, and then we rinsed everything out, and he reassembled everything. There was not a speck of mold in that car after we're done. We checked it all with the light, spotless. And this lady was thrilled because after owning the vehicle for a year and a half, finally got to smell it.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I dealt with it. Like, they had never brought in the vehicle to me before. What they were doing was they were trying different air fresheners and different neutralizers and all these different things, you know, as the guidelines were set by, you know, the company. I mean, they tried everything they knew how to do, and I got together with the shop foreman. We put our heads together, and I said to him, I said, look, how aggressive do you want to be with this thing? He says, I want this lady satisfied and out of here. I said, well, then we got to step it up. I said, we're going to have to tear this thing apart. He says, okay, but I gotta, you know, I can't go in there without my guns loaded. He said, you have to give me something. I said, okay, why don't we get an inspection right over here, blacklight, and check and see if there is actually mold or something growing in those ducts.
Yeah.
So they ended up changing the evaporator core too, because they were concerned that maybe that was causing the condensation and causing the stuff to grow in the first place. So they did replace that, and I cleaned all the system, and then the mechanic assembled everything. So this lady was thrilled, and the smell never came back. But that's not always the case. Like, whenever you have condensation in the car, just from sitting outside, I mean, you know, hot, cold, you're getting condensation. If somebody's very sensitive, that smell very well could come back.
Yep.
I mean, we got lucky because whatever it was in there, we killed it and it was gone.
Well, yeah, because if it's a bacteria issue or even mold or something like that, if you're able to kill that, then you're going to eliminate the problem. But that, I mean, not even just with cars, just cleaning anywhere. A lot of times that's the problem. Like they'll spray like their air freshener or whatever, but it's like if you're not getting the actual source of the problem, which oftentimes is a mold or bacteria, that smell's just going to keep coming back.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like I had a guy come in here with a Mercedes, right? And he was pretty sure there was mice in it one time because you could smell it. So we took out the cabin filter, and there's mouse droppings all over it, right?
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, look, I can get out as much as I can possibly reach, but I said, you're going to have to do the same thing we did at the dealership to this lady's car. I said, if you want it out 100%, this thing needs to be torn apart. And my brother's a mechanic, I'm not. And my brother's way out before Macro, so I would have asked him to help me with this vehicle. But that's one thing. Like I limit myself to my expertise. I'm good with interiors. That's, I'm really good at interiors and exteriors. I clean. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give myself about an 8.5. I don't know everything. There's guys out there a lot better than me, and there's guys out there that I could teach a lot to. Okay, but for the most part, I can tackle pretty much anything that comes in here. But when I saw that, I said to him, I said, look, I'll do what I can. So what I did was I took an air gun, okay, and I blew as much stuff as I could out of the cabin filter, like down to the cabin filter to get it out of there. I went in through where the cabin filter is. I sprayed up enzyme up in there. I hit it with steam. I tried everything I could to loosen up as much as I could and get it all to come down. And it smelled a lot better. But that's the thing. You can't get it 100% unless there's a lot of times there's a mechanic's intervention.
Oh boy,
right? So unless somebody is mechanically going to get involved with this vehicle and tear it apart, you can't clean it 100%. Even when I get customers that come in here with carpets that are just disgusting, and they want me to rip the seats out, I don't do it. And everybody's like, well, why don't you? There is guys out there that do it. There's guys that have a full shop with tools and hoists, and they'll tear the whole interior out of the car. And I'm not picking on them. These guys are great. I mean, these guys charge $2-3 grand a car. They'll tear it all apart. They take everything out of the car. They're power washing the carpet out. everything. They replace all the insulation. They do all these things. I don't have that kind of time. I'm not set up like that. My customers, their vehicle is in here for a max 2 days. Like, you know, when I do an interior clean, it's usually one full day. We go through, we clean it with all the tools that we have, and that's it. Like, I'm not going to start unbolting seatbelts, bolting seatbelts, because the minute you do that, you're into liability. Because if you don't put those seatbelts back properly, or the recoil breaks in the seatbelt and it doesn't work, and God forbid the person gets in an accident and something fails and you've had it apart, then it's on you. You're not a mechanic, you're not licensed, and you're touching somebody else's car. That's 100% on you, because no matter what insurance you have, they're not going to cover you if you're doing a mechanic's job. Okay? So what I do is I steer clear of the mechanic's job. I know how to do it, but I don't have a license. My brother does. I leave it to him. My brother and I had this conversation a long time ago when we both lived in the same city. He did the mechanical and I did the polishing. Okay? I've screwed up stuff doing mechanical on my own vehicles at times, and I had to go for him for help. And without throwing him under the bus, he's messed up a few things trying to detail, you know, because he needed my expertise in what he was doing. So we've helped each other for years. Yep. But now that I don't have him anymore to rely on, I don't touch those jobs. Yep. I don't have a mechanic in here that I can trust. So I tell the customer, look, take it to your mechanic. If you want to have him take it apart, bring me the parts, I'll clean the parts, and then you have him put it back in there. I'm good with that. But there's no way I'm tearing his car apart in my shop and putting it back together and putting my name on it with no mechanic's license. I'm not doing that. That's where a lot of guys got to realize, like, when you're a detailer, you have to keep your liability very low. You know, you don't attempt things that you don't know enough about. And that's part of the reason, like, I started this group, is so guys can learn as much as they possibly can to help them not only be productive, but to hit one out of the park the first time. Like, the more you know, the better the chance is that you're going to do a really good job on this guy's car the first time. And if you do a good job, he's going to tell all his friends, and they're all going to come to you. You know, that's the thing. The more you know, the better a detailer you're going to be.
So, for people who are just, because we're just gonna assume, because this is our pilot episode here.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen this before.
Yeah.
So where would they find the Detailers Guild?
The Detailers Guild right now it's on Facebook. Okay. We are building a website as we speak. Colin Thompson is actually taking care of that for me. He's my web guy, and that's another thing too. Like, I don't do it all. I can't. I mean, I spend so much time doing the detailing end of it. I can't run the website. So all this cool stuff you see on the internet, that's all Colin's hard work. That's got nothing to do with me, and I'll never take credit for his stuff. The guy's amazing. We went to school together. We took animation together. But Colin is the master. I mean, he went and took web design, and he took it a step further. Okay, so he knows how to do all the web stuff. I don't. I can draw really cool pictures, but I cannot build a website. So he does that. And the detailersguild.com, that is the new website that he's working on. And it's in the testing stage, because there's so much stuff that we want to do with this. And I'm not going to pick on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, because they've all benefited me huge. I mean, without Facebook and without YouTube, there's no way anybody would know even who I am. Even my customers would know who I am. The word of mouth is fantastic, but exposure on the internet helps detailers get their name out there and actually get a customer base growing exponentially. Like, if you're just, you clean one guy's car and the neighbor sees it and he calls, it's going to grow, but it's not going to grow as fast as if you have the internet, because people go and they post their reviews up on the internet. All of a sudden you're a superstar, because everybody's saying, oh my God, this guy's got 5-star reviews. And that's how I'm getting all these new customers. I get people coming in here with Porsches and Jaguars, BMWs, Audis, and it's not because I'm chasing these people down. It's
So you're not
because-
chasing?
No, I've got a really good rating on Google and Facebook, and I earned it. I mean, I do hard work, and I pour my heart and soul in every vehicle I do, like a lot of my friends do, and a lot of guys that I know that are out there.
Yeah.
They bust their butt, and they do a really good job because they're passionate about what they do. And most detailers, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but most of us are OCD, whether it's diagnosed or not. I mean, most of us, if something's not right, it drives us nuts. Like if I see a car and I open the car door and I see the brake pedal and the gas pedal are dirty, I lose my mind. Like it makes me nuts because I've spent so many times, I've done thousands of them, okay? Get in there with a toothbrush back in the old days. We didn't have the steamer and stuff, so you get in there with a toothbrush and you clean it. And you're taking a little tiny screwdriver and you're picking all the stones out of the brake pedal and the gas pedal. Like, that stuff drives me nuts because I know how hard it is to clean that. So when I see it filthy dirty and somebody says, oh, I just had this car detailed. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, there's no way this thing was detailed. Like, and I start looking around and there's crap in between
Oh yeah, because you
the
can't
seat
always
and
see
the
that right
console.
away.
Yeah. But you sit in the car, and that's why I tell everybody that I teach. I've taught, off the top of my head, I would say over the years at least 30 people that I personally taught.
Yeah.
Not from square one. I mean, some of them had other training from other places and stuff like that. But the people that I spent time with, I taught. I always tell them, when you're done the car, sit in the driver's seat and look everywhere in that car from the driver's seat. And if you don't find one thing wrong, then you've done a good job. So I show him right where to look. I said, look down beside the console. Look in all the windows. Because guess what? The minute he sits in the car, what's he going to be looking at? All of it.
Is it really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and when you open the driver's door, like I would say 50% of the time spent cleaning an interior is spent in the driver's area because they're always in there.
Yeah.
It's going to be the dirtiest, and it has to be spotless, because if it's not spotless, you've lost the customer. If he opens that door and he sees dirt all over the carpet, you're done. You're done. It doesn't matter how hard you worked on the rest of the car. The minute he opens that door, if he sees a dirty door jamb, or he sees dirty pedals, or his vent is filthy dirty, you've lost that guy. You're not going to get him back. I mean, that's it. He'll say, oh, okay, nice job, and pay you. But then you'll never come back again, and he's going to tell all his buddies, that you stink. And he's going to say, I'd never bring my car there.
Hey, you guys, you're at 5%.
Okay.
So apparently we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, so anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed our little chat. And
Part one of many.
yeah, part one of many. So that was episode 1. So anyways, we're going to do a few more. And we hope you guys really enjoyed this.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. And check us out. We'll be on YouTube. Eventually we will be on Spotify on our podcast. And you can check us out on the Detailers Guild on Facebook.
Yeah.
And Extreme Car Cleaning will also be carrying this too.
Awesome.
Okay? Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'm Dean.
I'm Dell.
Do you want to
And,
plug anything?
Well, I would just say that, just keep watching us, because I'm going to learn a lot. He says he's taught 30. It's going to be 31, because I'm going to learn something here, and you guys can just come along for the ride.
So I hope you guys